how about I even take a step back and talk about the big picture of what it is I'm trying to accomplish through the Chronic Hope
Yep.
Institute. That's a great, that's a great question as well. When I started the Chronic Hope Institute in 2020, when we were all locked into our homes and you couldn't get out of the house, I had this sort of idea that, since 2014, when I started my private practice, I had a line at the door of families that were like, we don't know what to do, and we need help. And I was like, okay, cool. And so I initially just did private practice, and it took off like wildfire. The state of Colorado was kind enough to legalize recreational marijuana. So we had a very ready supply of client base that walked in the door of families that were like, ah! And I was like, and from that, what happened is that I ended up creating a plan that I wrote into both my books. And the book that really has the concise plan is this one, Chronic Hope, Families and Addiction. Call it Plan A, there's Plan B, and there's even Plan C. And then there's 3 phases. So over time, what I learned how to do was kind of break it all down. Now, I also created a 2-day family program for about 4 treatment centers in Colorado. And we ran those for years, and they were really successful, and things went really well. And then I started hiring therapists and sort of teaching them my method. And then it occurred to me in 2020 that what I really wanted, what my real love, my real passion is teaching and education and training and consulting. I mean, I loved working with it. That's kind of what I do with every family I work with. So it struck me that what I could do was take everything I do and turn it into a training for 3 different groups. The families, obviously. And we have an online training available, like you said, for a nominal fee. It's actually like $50. You get both books and a 3-hour self-guided online training. And we're this far away from adding a workbook to it. So if you can do that just by yourself. The next thing is teaching people that work in treatment centers how to engage with the families. Because that tends to be one of the bigger challenges that most, like admissions, intake, business development, the case management team, they're kind of thrown into it, and they're like, okay, you're doing this, and they're getting a barrage of phone calls and engagements with these families that are just losing their mind and don't know what to do. And I watch this in the treatment centers that I work with and engage with and will be on the inside with, and I'm like, it strikes me that you guys could probably really use some help teaching your staff how to work with those families, because I'm sure those families are kind of driving you a little bonkers, because they're terrified, and I get it. I mean, rightfully so. And then the final piece is the final training concept is, as a licensed marriage and family therapist in 2 states, I get phone calls every single day from other therapists asking me questions about addiction, about treatment, about intervention, about codependency, about, how do we get resources? And so I thought, well, okay, the final piece then is to do training for clinicians. And that's really that's the long-winded answer of where the Chronic Hope Institute comes from.